Major League Baseball is a very weird and confusing entity. A lot of the times what happens in the MLB doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There are some consistencies, some universal truths, if you will, like the Dodgers being good, the Astros being really good, and Aaron Judge hitting a lot of home runs. Shout out Aaron Judge. However, in the MLB, there's also a lot of inconsistencies, some things that don't really make a whole lot of sense. And for this season in 2022, the biggest enigma in all of baseball have been the Seattle Mariners, a team that is currently 15 games over 500 after taking 1 out of 3 games from the 55-95 Oakland Athletics. Yeah, that's right, 40 games under 500, and they beat the Mariners twice. A team that is looking to break their 20-year playoff drought is in the mix again, just like they were last year when they finished 1 game short, but it looks like they're poised to make it this year. Currently sitting in the 3rd wildcard spot at this time of recording, likely will be shuffling around because the Rays and the Blue Jays aren't that much further ahead of them. The Mariners have been good for the most part of this season. There was a 15-game win streak where it felt like the Mariners were never going to lose again, and then they ran into the Astros. And you know how well the Mariners play against the Astros. The answer is they don't. However, the Mariners do one thing better than the rest of the other wildcard contending teams, is that they play the best baseball against teams above 500. Aside from the Astros. We can let that rest though. There's a graphic posted to Reddit a couple days ago on r/baseball about the AL wildcard round teams, so the Mariners, the Blue Jays, the Rays, the Guardians, and the Orioles, who are currently on the outside looking in, and their win-loss record relative to teams above 500. And at the top of this list was the Seattle Mariners, a team that plays up to the competition really well, a team that has a winning record against the New York Yankees this season, a team that took 2 out of the 3 from the Atlanta Braves, the reigning world champions, who are arguably having a better regular season than they were last season. And also, the Mariners swept the Cleveland Guardians on the road. The Mariners were in Cleveland and took 3 games out of 3 off the Guardians, the AL Central leading Guardians. So it begs the question of, what is so puzzling about the Seattle Mariners? Well, on this same graphic the user posted was the win-loss record relative to teams below 500. And the Seattle Mariners were at the bottom of this list. And being at the bottom of this list is not a good thing, because that means they have the worst win-loss record, win-loss percentage against teams below 500. And the start to this most recent road trip against the Angels and the Athletics describes the Mariners' inconsistencies to a T. After splitting with the Padres at home in T-Mobile Park, the Mariners set off on a 10-game road trip, 4 against the Angels, 3 against the Athletics, and finishing it off with 3 against the Royals this upcoming weekend. With the month of September looming and playoff baseball on the horizon, the Mariners felt like a lot of these games were must win to close the door on the Orioles chasing them sooner rather than later. And what did the Mariners do? Well, they went and lost the first 3 games to the Angels in very Mariners fashion. Lots of double plays, lots of momentum killing outs, and just poor at-bats in general, partnered with not spectacular pitching. Robbie Ray got lit up in his first start. George Kirby had a pretty good start against the Angels, but Shohei Ohtani was on the mound, so the Mariners really couldn't do anything. And then in the 3rd game, Marco got touched up for 5, and the Mariners only put up 1 run. With Julio and Gino out during this series, there's a lot left to be desired for the Seattle Mariners offense during those first 3 games. And those offensive struggles would continue as we head to Oakland to face another sub-500 club, the Athletics. The Mariners amassed 1 hit across 9 innings of baseball. That 1 hit could have been an error. It was an infield single by Carlos Santana to 3rd baseman Vimael Machin, who made an errant throw across the diamond. Very well could have been an error, meaning the Mariners very well could have gotten no hit by J.P. Sears and who, and that guy from the Oakland Athletics bullpen. The Mariners' offense was abysmal against the A's in the first game, and it was not much better in the second game. The only sign of life the Seattle Mariners had was Luis Torrens having a pinch hit home run on the day that he got called back up to be with the Seattle Mariners on Wednesday. And just like I mentioned earlier, double plays killing momentum. In the top of the 9th, Julio Rodriguez gets a leadoff single. Ty France promptly grounds into a double play. There is no semblance of approach at the plate or manufacturing runs in ways other than hit the ball far. So it begs the question of, why do the Seattle Mariners play down to their opponents? Why is this inconsistent offensive approach, this inconsistent pitching approach happening? There's a couple different things you could entertain, like injuries and maybe even the mentality surrounding playing these opponents, because the Oakland Athletics have been long and far out of the playoff hunt for a while now. 40 games under 500. Mariners, they're like, why do we have to play these guys? Well, you play them to win the games, but when you don't play up to your best, you're going to lose those games. And those games could end up being crucial. The Mariners have been lucky that the Blue Jays, Rays, and Orioles have all been kind of scuffling all at the same time as the Mariners have been. Had the other teams surrounding us in the wild card hunt been winning this last week when we were losing the majority of our games, the Mariners could have seen themselves on the outside looking in for the first time in a while. After strong performances in July with a record of 18-7 and August of 17-10, the Mariners currently sit at 9-9 in the month of September. With the weakest remaining schedule in all of baseball, the Mariners need to turn this around before it gets out of hand. And then a battle back win like they got on the 22nd against the Athletics, a 9-5 win when Julio leaves the game early, Jared Kelenic comes in clutch with a home run and a double. You need to carry that momentum and carry that approach going into the rest of the season and the rest of this road trip before you turn into not only baseball's biggest enigma, but baseball's biggest disappointment by the end of 2022. Although the Seattle Mariners have been baseball's biggest enigma, I can't help but say I love this 2022 team. Got a lot going right for them, and I have faith that they will right the ship and continue on the path of righteousness, essentially, to the playoffs. What I want you guys to do right now is check out this video on the screen right now that Colton did about the playoff scenarios and playoff updates heading to the final stretch of this season. Make sure to check that one out to stay up to date on the latest that is happening with the American League wildcard. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and go Mariners.